Save room.
Of the many aspects of Resident Evil that other games have borrowed, stolen, reimagined, and learned from, a whole game based around its inventory management isn't something you'd expect to see. The inventory was a great limiter in Resident Evil 4, forcing you to make decisions and maximize space in order to take everything you wanted and needed with you, and it was satisfying to pull it all together and squeeze in just one more item. To that end, I can see where Save Room Organization Puzzle, or simply Save Room, is coming from. The game has been a bit of an underground hit, in part for its very low cost, and since its initial PC release, it has also jumped to the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X, and Switch. Save Room is extremely simple. That's literally just the Resi 4 inventory menu with a little less flair. The goal of the game is simply to put as much as possible into the inventory. The game lacks a timer or any other pressure elements, instead aiming for a more relaxed brain teaser vibe. The inventory shape changes with many of the 40 puzzles, and new elements are added fairly frequently. Guns are the most space intensive and oddly shaped, especially the much longer shotguns, rifles, and later on the more oddly shaped sniper and rocket launcher, which makes them the central focus of efficient placement. But the game also plays with other elements present in Resident Evil 4. Ammunition often needs to be placed in guns to not have to store it, and guns without ammunition can't be placed in the inventory, forcing some order of operations to give every gun at least one bullet. Herbs can be combined to make different potions and can be consumed along with food to restore health when it's below full, but bad food can also be consumed to drop health, which allows you to heal it back up. And lastly, there's 3 different colors of gunpowder, which can be combined with each other in different ways to produce different ammunition types. The game does a really good job of building up to these concepts, starting fairly simple, but eventually requiring the player to consider several steps ahead in order to consume the most resources possible to minimize space. There's something viscerally satisfying about working out the whole thing to perfectly fill every spot in the inventory. In the same way it feels great to slot in a full Tetris or take apart a whole chain in Puyo. The game does eventually burn out a little towards the end. There are only 40 puzzles, but it does feel a little stretched, as the gunpowder is introduced at around 25 and is in effect the final puzzle element. Ideas like eating bad food, eating bad food, and then healing again are introduced and used over and over in the same way as gunpowder is, and while the game does have a climax, the 40th puzzle uses every gun, a mountain of gunpowder, and healing shenanigans, it does feel like it's all been done before by the time you reach that point. Other puzzle games slide by on the infinite replayability of their simplicity. Tetris has a near infinite amount of permutations that require quick consideration of the field and upcoming pieces to stay ahead, while Save Room is moderately limited by requiring each of its puzzles to be handcrafted affairs, and I can't imagine going back to it for a bit. It's a fun concept to run through once, but there's nothing all that compelling about returning to it after you've solved the puzzles. I think a good addition for this game's upcoming sequel would be a scoring system that rated efficiency and minimizing the amount of stuff brought in, with a bit of leeway to allow people who mess up to pass with lower scores, which would incentivize maxing out efficiency, and could potentially be used to unlock new skins for the UI or something. While simple, the game's presentation is very solid. Each gun, item, and consumable can be examined and has a charmingly simplistic 3D model, although, judging by the credits, they're all taken from other places and just like generic stock models that people made. And despite effectively just being a menu, the UI is clean, readable, and accurately captures Resi's. It's not a flashy or impressive game, but much like others in its cousin genres, like Tetris, its clean layout makes the game extremely readable and satisfying. The music is great too, like the Save Room music and its inspiration. It's a very chill, low-key song that adds to the carefree and simple satisfaction of organizing the inventory. My only real complaint is that it's literally one song. The game only takes about an hour, maybe an hour and a half to finish, but no matter how good the song is, listening to one song for that entire time definitely wears down the charm. The later puzzles can take 2 or 3 minutes to solve, so it may have been better to have 4 or 5 looping songs that occasionally change between puzzles to add a little bit of variety. It's a very utilitarian game in its presentation, more function than form. The main menu basically just has the play button and the credits and goes directly into the game. But for what it is, that's really all it needed to be. Save Room is a charming little puzzler, I couldn't recommend more. I got the game on the Steam Summer Sale for about $2, and it's fairly cheap even outside of that. It's not much more than it says on the tin, but it has a lot of clever puzzle elements that feed into the satisfying human urge for efficiency and organization. The game never frustrates, and is a unique, loving tribute to a small aspect of a fantastic game, providing the perfect casual, quick, and satisfying puzzle experience that only moderately tapers off at the end. The game has a sequel already announced, Save Room the Merchant, which seems to center itself on a store mechanic where items can be purchased or sold and certain items are required to complete each level. This basically seems like just the complexity boost this game needed and will hopefully keep it from burning out at the end, and honestly, I loved this little game enough to look forward to the expansion this concept can get. This is a great little puzzler that fans and non-fans of Resi should give a shot, as its unique concept allows it to both stand on its own and pay homage to an all-time classic in the most satisfying way imaginable.